Hi, I'm Rebecca Avison and I'm from the Yorkshire Dales. I have a team of working gun dogs and I've worked in field sports for about 16 years now on grouse, pheasants, partridge and ducks.
Where I would go for a puppy is somebody I trust, who's got a long line of working pedigree dogs. Even pet active homes go to working litters because they know that they've got a very long line of proven workers in the field. So these dogs have gone out and done 100+ days in the field. They're bred for a job. They've got the history behind them as well as the paperwork. So yeah, if you can go to someone like that, I'd definitely recommend it. And if you don't know, ask around. You will find the right person in the end. I would not go to the websites. Unfortunately, they are not managed. They're full of illegal breeding. Even some dogs with paperwork, it's quite easy to get paperwork for a dog these days. And if you haven't got the visual insight and history of a dog, I would personally go to someone who's got 3 generations in their kennels or their homes, and they've got a long line of decent proven workers that they can show you. There's no point in having paperwork if you haven't got the goods to show with them. Something to bear in mind when you feel like you have approached somebody, a breeder or anybody, that something isn't right, you can report that. And this is the problem that we're going through now, is it's not the price of puppies, it's not the breeders, it's unfortunately the general public who are buying off these criminals and not realising that they're criminals. That's the problem, because the more they buy of them, they're feeding that industry, and then they'll just keep going out and stealing more dogs and more dogs. So please just be very, very careful who you buy from, and if you have any inkling that it's not right, report it. So a breeder should normally let you come see the pups 2 weeks prior to them leaving the bitch, so you can pick. For me personally, there's no point in going to a litter before they're at least 6 weeks old. Their characterisms are not really showing. Well, they are and they aren't, but probably not enough for like a first-time buyer to see. So you're better off going 6 weeks, pay your deposit, make sure you're happy with the litter, make sure you're happy with the parents, and then 2 weeks prior to that, 2 weeks after that, sorry, you will go pick your pup up. It should come with the first vaccination, the paperwork, dog food, wormed and flead, all at 8 weeks old, ready to leave, and then you get the second injection when it's in your new home. What you can do is what a lot of breeders or people who are selling pups is, you can pay for a deposit to hold your name on a list, and then you can look at the like, obviously you can send pictures and stuff like that, but I wouldn't go look at the pup till it's about 6 weeks old, because you can't really see what its potential is. If I were going to a breeder's house, I would look for the bitch with the pups, the father if it's there. If not, should be a reputable stud that has all the paperwork and the pictures behind it. You should always see the pup with the bitch. If that's not the case, then there's something seriously wrong. I've actually been sent links to litters of pups in the past that people are like, oh, it looks a fantastic litter. And you read into the details that these people have sent, and it's just, yeah, there's definitely something fishy about it. You've got to be so careful these days. What I would look for in a puppy personally myself is something that's probably crazy because they're going to come out and do like 100+ days in the field. I want someone that's got a lot of stamina, a lot of drive, it's going to have a job to do. So that's something that I would look for being a working gun dog trainer. If you were looking for a pet, I'd maybe go for something a little bit more less crazy. But even if you're going for something like that, later on in life they can probably have a spurt of energy. You've got to be prepared to take these dogs on, like they're bred for a job, so if you're not going to give them a job in the field, you need to make sure they've got a job out the field. So make sure you're a jogger, you live on a farm, they've got an active home, because if you don't, you end up with like some severe behavioural problems later on in life, and we don't want that for the dog or for yourself. So out of my last litter from a year, I kept two pups, and Madison, who's in the kennels now, she's like a white crazy little Labrador, and she was crazy as a puppy. I just knew that dog was gonna do everything I asked. And then I've got Ruby. I purely picked her because of her colour. She was a gorgeous, beautiful little pup, and she was very quiet and timid, and she still is now. But when she's out in the field, she'll work. You can switch her on and off a little bit quicker than Madison. Madison takes a little bit more to switch off because she's a bit like, where's my next job? Like, you know, she just wants to go all the time. So yeah, I would say as they are as pups is what you get later on as well. So, I mean, it can change, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that is a guarantee, but yeah. So you picked your puppy up from the breeder. You'll probably put it in a crate. Make sure that it's nice and cozy in the crate, especially if you've got long travel. Don't put water and food in with it because it'll just end up all over, and you don't want your puppy to be sick on travel. Get her home, her home, make sure they're settled. I find crate training is the best because one, it gives them their own space. It's easier to crate train them first before you house train them because it's a small area to deal with. The more freedom they've got, the more likely they are going to poo and wee in your house. So if you can crate train them first. And it's also a sense of security for them. It's also a timeout zone. So if you're in the house, even if you're in the house, make sure your puppy gets used to being on their own, even when you're in the house, so that when you leave, they don't get separation anxiety. So, you know, there's a lot of information out there that's good and bad, but also ask your breeder. If you go to the right breeder, they will give you the right information to start out with. Things to remember when looking for your puppy: make sure you always see the bitch with the litter of puppies. Make sure all the paperwork adds up. If you're not unsure, go to somebody who you trust. Make sure they have a good reputation, a history behind the dogs. It's not just something that they've decided to walk into and make a bit of money, because that's not why people do it. And if they are, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. If you want any more information on buying a puppy, go to a reputable breeder or a reputable dog handler, or someone like myself who's worked in field sports for 17 years. If I don't have a litter on, I can surely direct you in the right port of call. I know a lot of people in the dog industry, professionals, people who've got a good reputation. And even if we don't know, someone will know somebody else, and you know, we can point you in the right direction.
Joining the National Gamekeepers organisation is a choice for all shooters and gamekeepers. Help promote, protect gamekeeping, conservation and shooting as we know it today. Get on the front foot. Support an organisation that will defend what you love and we do. NGO membership comes with £10 million of third-party liability, a dedicated firearms licensing team, legal support, as well as many, many other members' benefits. Be part of Britain's biggest conservation movement.